You're listening to Heroes in the Moment. What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today, Daredevil Born Again.
Come on, let's get into it,
we
baby.
are back with Daredevil Born Again. Otherwise, could be called Season 4 of the Netflix's Daredevil, if you really was so inclined. But also, if you didn't watch the original series, it wouldn't be too bad either.
Still makes sense.
Still makes sense. You wouldn't be too lost. So just off from the get-go, starting with episode 1, Heaven's Half Hour, what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about the first 3 episodes and discuss them, give you our thoughts, our opinions, where we think the show is going to go from here, and what we think of up to this point with this show. So episode 1 was called Heaven's Half Hour, and right off the bat,
fire.
just what's your initial thoughts from the show?
Man, first of all, watching that, that opening scene.
That opening scene was incredible. That 12 minutes.
I was shook, man. I didn't expect any of that.
I didn't expect any of that at all, especially the first 12 minutes of the show was that. Woo-hoo. And it was incredible, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Just from the get-go, you're like, whoa, okay, hello, we're in it.
Can we talk about what happened?
Yeah, we can talk about what happened.
Bro, Foggy died. Dude, I don't believe he's
I wasn't
dead.
expecting it at all.
But...
And I've seen a lot of hate towards that.
Yeah.
I've seen with that decision, and I get it, because it felt like, that opening scene literally felt like the ending of a season finale,
I know, like a season 2 or something.
Right, right. And it felt... It was just right off the cuff.
Bro, he's not dead. That's my opinion.
I agree. I don't think he's dead. I think
they would not kill off Foggy in the first 12
We say
minutes.
that, and then he will be dead because they did the same thing with Maria Hill in Secret Invasion.
Yeah, but it's Foggy. He's so important to the storyline of Daredevil.
Right.
He helps ground Matt.
And it could be though too that
it's gonna be like a Samuel Jackson situation in Winter Soldier.
Could be that, or he actually is dead, and this is kind of Daredevil's way of filling that gap in some type of way, because we know he gives up the suit afterwards for
a year,
a year, and then even more so, and we know he'll come back to it eventually, but still, it's he's given it up because of what happened to him. But that opening 12 minutes, let's talk about that. Because, again, they're just in this bar, they're hanging out, it's him, Karen, and Foggy, they're just having a good time, and then we have Bullseye coming into the picture, right?
Bro, he's so cool.
He's amazing.
He is so cool. Yeah, it shows him throwing that paper clip against the fly. You're like, oh my gosh. And then you see it on his glove.
I loved how, the thriller aspect of this scene in particular. The dude that is in his safe house is calling him hey, what's up with this?
Yeah, they're
and
coming
saying, I'm sorry, Foggy. I gave up. And then he came and he shot Foggy. But this scene that I love the most is the whole time that Daredevil, when Matt changes into him and chasing and fighting Bullseye, the whole time you can hear in the background Foggy's heartbeat, and it's lessening and lessening and lessening, and the whole time Matt is listening to that as he's fighting. I thought that was incredible.
It was amazing.
Incredible writing.
Yeah.
I thought that was so, and then you could just hear Karen just crying over his body, trying to hold the blood in.
Bro.
And
that was so sad.
It was so emotional, and you could just hear as he's fighting, and then as soon as the heart gives out, you can see in Matt's expression, he just loses all care.
He loses it, man.
And he tries to literally attempted murder Bullseye.
He tries to kill Bullseye. Yeah. He throws him off a roof.
He throws him off the roof. And he just didn't care. He just pushed him off, and that was it.
I know.
He just looked back, and then he dropped his mask.
Yeah. Obviously he doesn't really kill, but he's always really struggled with that fine line. It's
right.
That's something that the show always goes around to, how far can you go? And then, later they talk about it with Fisk too, because Fisk can relate, and he talks about his dark side and how it feels. Yeah. So watching Daredevil truly snap, oh my gosh, man, that was crazy. And I do love, even before Bullseye enters the scene, just how they just they showcase Daredevil's abilities. Maybe for some people who are not too familiar with the character, he's listening to all these different conversations.
That was really cool. I thought that was such a cool thing. The only thing is the fight choreography did not feel as good as this show.
Yeah, there was two. Not to be a hater.
Yeah.
First of all, the CGI sucked so bad for the opening scene. I'll be the first to say I love the Netflix show. They didn't have a huge budget, so I don't think there's ever really a scene of Daredevil, kind of swinging right through the buildings, with his batons and stuff. We get to see that really for the first time here. I'm like, huh? Daredevil?
See, I thought that was cool.
I thought it was cool.
We see that in the comics.
The CGI was so bad.
It wasn't great. And then the fight choreography, I didn't feel I feel like
it wasn't
as good. It wasn't as flawless as the original show or Winter Soldier choreography.
I know.
I felt like it still
felt
had
a little clunky.
Disconnect. Now, I will say the apartment scene at the end of episode 2. Now that was better.
That was really cool.
That was really awesome.
Yeah.
But
oh, great.
Yeah, that was great. But this particular open scene between him and Bullseye and the elements around him, I felt like it just did not connect as well with me. But that was my only really quarrel.
Yeah,
The scene itself, the writing was great.
Of course, the writing was great. Like you said, the CGI and the choreography wasn't great. I don't think a lot of people will get too caught up on that just due to the shock nature and how the episode starts. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good start to the show.
I agree.
At the same time, like it had those references and the callbacks in the same bar and Josie and everything for the fans who've watched the Netflix show. But at the same time, like kind of introducing these characters for the first time for the first time fans. I thought they did a really good job of doing both of that.
I agree. I fully agree. And then we fast forward a year later with Bullseye getting the maximum penalty. Which is a success, and then Karen's there. They hadn't talked in a year, and I thought that interaction was interesting, to say the least. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I you definitely feel for both of them. You know, they kind of go back and forth. I mean, obviously, Foggy was kind of, Matt's whole world. That was his best friend.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
He kind of shuts Karen out for at least a couple weeks, and then so she feels stranded. So then when he starts calling her, she doesn't return his call.
She doesn't go back.
They both love Foggy in their own ways, and his death really impacted both of them. So they both kind of split, which is so sad because they used to be all so tight together.
And that's one thing that really stinks, is because this first episode we had Foggy, Matt and Karen and all together and everything, and then now for the rest of the show, both of those characters kind of exit the scene, and it kind of stinks. It's like I wish Karen could have been involved in it in at least some more fashion, and not to say, I mean, she'll probably come back and towards the end of maybe
I would say
episode.
probably like the second half of the season they'll kind of make a reappearance.
Right, we hope,
and
but
strong.
It seems like they're moving on from the past and kind of more so focusing on Matt Murdock's life now after he's given up the vigilante, Daredevil persona, and then Kingpin's rise to mayorship has kind of been the focus, and we'll see how that's going to build the tension.
See, because I think that's, the central plot, kind of a theme one. It's, as we'll see later, it's Matt struggling with that. Like, he's trying to put it behind him, but like later through some other characters are like, this is not something you can put behind you. It's who you are. You're meant to do good. You have to be who you are, kind of stuff.
Right.
So seeing Matt struggle with that, and then the on the different side, you're seeing Fisk like at the same time trying to be that person.
I think
too, in both in kind of different ways. It's beautiful.
It's amazing. The writing between going back and forth between him and Kingpin is so incredible.
It's so good.
It's seeing Kingpin with his struggles and him becoming mayor,
because he's trying to be all legal now, right?
Yes.
So he's kind of pushing that stuff away. He's like, Vanessa, I guess you can handle it, but then they're having their problems. So he's trying to truly. It seems like he's trying to make the city a little better place.
He's definitely got some.
But of course, it's
Kingpin.
At the same time, though, dude, I'm loving him. Like, not rooting for him,
not
really,
rooting, but loving his character.
I'm loving his character.
Oh yeah, he's an amazing character, and it's actually really curious because the whole time I'm watching the shows, now that we know it's 100% connected to the MCU as a whole.
Yeah,
my mindset is like, where is Mr. Spider-Man when this is taking place? Because he's such a crucial element to New York City. Why is it? But he did mention the spider running around and stuff. I just really think that this show, if they could have done it correctly and do it correctly, not say this show, but I'm talking more so the movie, Spider-Man 4 could have been a direct, like, Daredevil Born Again could have led directly into Spider-Man 4 if they do it right. Yeah. But I don't think that they're going to do that any longer. No. Like, we all thought that was going to be the original concept. Was Kingpin was going to be a big bad in Spider-Man 4. There was going to be a big threat with that, and all of that's going to come into place. It's going to be a more grounded story. But now it's probably not going to be, unfortunately.
I know.
But I think it would have been really cool because Spider-Man is such an integral part, and Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain just as much as he is Daredevil. So that would have been a really cool thing to see as well.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, but like I said, obviously we're disappointed in the direction of that. But I'm encouraged by seeing how they're progressing the storyline so far in this show.
Yeah, it's been really, really cool. So in the rest of the show, we see like the mayoral campaign of Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, and his plans, and like we talked about briefly before the show, something that Daredevil Born Again is doing that we think is really cool and unique is the filming of the townspeople and just their responses to the different situations.
What is it? The BB report? Something like that?
Yeah.
I think something, that Marvel has kind of struggled for so long to do is just kind of show the human element of some of these situations.
How they're feeling.
Some of these disasters, the aftermath of Age of Ultron, like just seeing people react to like superhuman stuff. It's just interesting to see. So
Right.
this little like these little clips that we get through the BB report of the civilians being asked like, how do you feel about New York? Do you feel safe? And then being asked about these vigilantes and stuff. I love it.
I love it too. And
it just cements it more in reality.
It's really cool too that they're not necessarily pushing any one agenda. They're giving all the agendas. Like you'll have one person who says, Kingpin, he's going to be the best. Or he says Fist's going to be the best for New York City. And then somebody says he's a murderer. He's this,
murderer.
He's that.
I can't trust
Or
him.
the vigilantes, they'll be like, vigilantes need to go. They're done. They're stupid. Or somebody be like, he saved my life for this. Like, it's really cool to see both perspectives. Like in politics, so often so many studios focus on just one end instead of both pictures when it should be both. And it's really cool to have that counter. I really appreciate that.
I do love to hear them chime in, because I mean that's exactly how it would happen nowadays. Exactly. And like you said, a lot of it obviously is based on today's current political landscape, but I think they do a really good job.
They do.
I think they do a really good job of that. So
they do. I completely
that's
agree.
one part that I really like.
Yeah, I agree. And the rest of the show is kind of setting up where the rest of the show is going to be like. We have Matt in the courtroom. We have him meeting with his new girlfriend, this new counselor friend.
Do you like her?
I like her.
I like her too.
I like her. Okay, I'm not mad at her.
Her name though. I'm not gonna lie.
She reminds me a lot, and I don't know if you'll feel this way. She reminds me a lot of Laurel from Arrow.
Yeah,
a lot, quite a bit. Well, maybe
I like her
Dinah,
better,
but she reminds me of that kind of character for Daredevil, Matt. But anyhow,
that's crazy because so after Foggy, after the year, he starts his own law firm with what's her name, Kirsten. Kirsten McDuffie or something like that, and then she sets them both up together. So that's cool.
It was really cool.
The irony of him dating a therapist is
really
really good for him.
It's intriguing. And not only that, but she's going to be Fisk and Vanessa's therapist. And
I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's so cool.
It's really cool.
That's so cool.
It is cool. But anyway, the show ends with Mayor Fisk being elected into office, and the show also they have a confrontation before he's elected in the diner. We got to talk about that scene.
Oh my gosh, Michael!
What a scene!
This was phenomenal.
It was so well written.
Man, it was really well written. The dialogue was amazing. I mean, these guys are acting their butts off, dude.
Yes,
I mean, they're
Charlie
phenomenal,
Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, hats off to you guys.
Bro, they were killing it. But just that exchange of ideals, because it starts really friendly, and deep down, I kind of found myself wishing, hey, why can't everything be good? Let's move on and be friends.
Yeah.
But as we get kind of to the end of that conversation,
they hate each other's guts.
Yeah. At first, you have Matt saying, "If you step out of line,
I'll be there.
I will be there, right? I will get back in the suit. I will do something about it." And then Fisk counters when he's leaving by saying, "You know what? I'm cracking down on you guys. If you get out here, we're gonna hunt you down.
Yeah.
Like you're in trouble." So now, it's just,
And the whole thing
spicy.
with the vigilante justice is a really cool concept. I'm honestly surprised J. Jonah Jameson doesn't pop and be like, vigilanteism.
That would be a great cameo.
It'd be great.
It'd
be perfect for the show.
Fit perfectly.
It'd fit perfect with the show.
In the second episode, the police commissioner reminds me a lot of him.
Oh yeah.
He reminds me a lot of him. But no, man, I mean that scene, I thought that was the best part about season 1.
Yeah.
Because you see them kind of going back and forth, and they're both talking how like their time away has kind of changed who they are, right? I mean, because at the end of season 3 in the Netflix show, right, he beats Kingpin, refuses to kill him, so Kingpin he's in the hospital, he's in jail for a good while, and then Matt he stops being Daredevil, essentially. So that's really cool to see how they've kind of like transition to new and better people.
Yeah.
But like deep down, like they both still want to be that person.
They still are that person deep down.
Like they both have that darker side.
Matt's still that vigilante, and we see that paralleled when we see the next couple episodes when his emotions. It doesn't go out and say it, but when he's defending a certain client,
and then you see the Knuckles, the shot in season 3 where it goes from Fist Knuckles to Daredevil's Knuckles. You're like, 3. Yeah. Oh my gosh,
it's so good.
It's so good. But yeah, man, they're killing it. Episode 1 was great. Man.
Episode 1 was great,
but it was probably the worst I think out of the 3 so far.
I agree. I don't think worse is the right word.
Well, I mean, I think it's not bad. I enjoy the other 2 better.
The other 2 are better.
I
agree. So let's go on to episode 2, Optics, where we see a lot happened in this particular episode. We have on one end, Mayor Fisk is planning his stuff. He's getting things, trying to interpret. He's trying to be the mayor. He stops like in the middle of the traffic jam with the pothole situation and tells him, let's get this thing filled. And he's like, goes off to people's like, I get stuff done. I thought that was so good.
You know, bro, you know who that is? That's Quake. I've seen a lot of people saying that has to be Quake.
That
They're
did
like,
that?
Who else would make? Like the size of the hole is like eerily similar to what she was doing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So a lot of people are saying that they're teasing that. It could have been a smaller pothole, but then again, it wouldn't stop traffic. Anyway, but yeah, I saw someone on Twitter like, what if this was Quake's doing?
That would be interesting to see how Quake would fit into this.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know.
But yeah, just the fact that he gets out, he's like, I get stuff done. He's like, He's like, you're the mayor, sir. We're just waiting on the paperwork. He's like, consider it approved.
Done. Yeah, that was great.
He's like, all right, boys, fill in this hole.
He don't even know if he has that ability, but he did it anyway.
No, he did that for sure. I mean, he's the mayor.
He's the mayor.
Dude, I gotta talk about someone else I saw on Twitter. I saw one guy's like, bro, why would they elect this guy? Don't they know who it used to be? Did they suddenly forget? And then the top reply was like, bro, this is like literally one of the most believable things that New Yorkers ever done. They forget stuff all the time.
Yep. A lot of people forget all kinds of stuff.
That stuff happens.
Yep, absolutely.
But no, dude. Yeah, I like seeing him in office a lot.
And then counterly, we see White Tiger. Right, we see the introduction of White Tiger into this show, and he gets into quite of a predicament when it comes to trying to help somebody out in the subway station. A guy getting ruffled up at two guys. Come to find out these two guys were cops. Not good cops, but cops nonetheless.
Goodness, yeah.
And one of them accidentally gets killed. He doesn't kill him, but he accidentally gets killed.
They're fighting and he trips and he falls.
Yes.
Right in front of this train.
Right. And then he gets arrested for it, wrongfully accused of being a cop killer, and that spirals from there. Wow. I mean, that was intense. And then these two episodes that were exploring Matt in the courtroom, helping him and them investigating it were really awesome. I thought. I thought it was the drama aspect of this was really, really cool. Episode 2 was the investigation aspect, whereas episode 3 was the courtroom aspect. I thought that was really cool.
It was phenomenal. You really start to love Hector.
Yeah.
I'm not
Hector's
gonna lie.
really cool.
Like, I didn't suspect that he was White Tiger until it actually told me.
Really?
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I didn't think about it. I should have caught it, but no, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, he's a hero through and through. No mask, no amulet. He sees these guys beating up on this other guy. He steps in, and then at the end they're like, NYPD. You're like, no, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. This corrupt cop storyline is like my favorite part of the show.
Yeah,
it is so good.
And then it's one of those things. It reminds me of Gotham, of like Batman elements, because that's the whole big plot of Batman is the corrupt cops of Gotham. And it's really cool to see that here, the corrupt cops of NYPD, and how they all got these Punisher-esque tattoos, and saying
which
they're
comes
fighting for
into
this
play
cause
later too.
Yeah. So it is really, really intriguing, and really it's devastating as well, because to see this guy who's an innocent, he's a hero, go through something like this is devastating.
I know, and I do like the fact that they kind of highlight all the Punisher stuff too, because like Punisher is not a great guy.
No.
He takes justice to his own hands, and he murders people. So I think too often nowadays, a lot of people make him out to be, a lot of military and popo make him out to be like some type of savior. What it's not, and that's what they're kind of pointing out. He's a very deeply flawed, terrible person who thinks he's doing the right thing.
Right.
But nah, man, this episode was great. I really enjoyed getting to see Fisk kind of dealing with all just the political red tape. Like you see him like he's trying to hit the ground running, and then you have all this. Sir, you got to meet with these people. You got to go through this.
Yeah, the commissioner's like, we will not work for you. This, that, or the other, and then which
is cool because like when he's Kingpin, like whatever he says goes, right? He doesn't have to go through all this legislator.
He doesn't
but now
have hands tied.
Exactly. But now his hands are a lot more tied because he's dealing with a lot more people. Like we see like with the police commissioner later, like that whole storyline was really, really cool. And then you see that Kingpin come out when he lets him know that I know about your son.
He knows about him.
I know about these guys.
And then he's like,
because he was about to quit, right?
Yeah.
And so then he's like, you're going to stay on, and I'm not going to give you anything you just asked. I'm like, oh my gosh, man.
Because he's still Kingpin deep down, Although he may be trying to do some change and trying to change a little bit, he's still Kingpin at the end of the day. And we see that, when he literally threatens his family.
Yeah. And it's paralleled by saying, too, that it's still Daredevil at the end of the day. Like no
Yeah.
matter how much Matt
Yep.
is trying to put this behind, like that that darker side is gonna come out, like we saw in the first episode, and like we see later at the end of the episode,
Right.
where dude, this part was so cool, bro.
It was so incredible,
we
yeah.
find out that there's a witness, right? There's a witness who saw Nikki Torres, who saw all this stuff go down.
Right.
So we find out that the corrupt cop Officer Powell and his buddy, after their shift, they're going to go kill him. They finally get the address. So dude, watching Matt like stalk him and everything, even though he's dressed as a lawyer, you're like, he's doing Daredevil work right now.
Yeah,
you know, which is really cool.
And that scene in particular was so amazing to see him going into the apartment saying, "Hey, I'm this guy. I'm here to protect you. You need to get out of here now. We have about 10 seconds
He's
before
like,
they come
20
in,
seconds,
and they probably kill you.
10 seconds."
And that was so crazy. And then he sends him off, and police come in. They're like, "Murdoch,
dude, he's just standing there smiling.
He's just standing there.
Bro, I was telling Michael earlier, I texted him, I was like, dude, this whole show is just like Charlie Cox, like Aura farming, and I'm here for it.
It's so great.
Bro, like, there hasn't been a shot where he hasn't been like the coolest guy in the history of the universe. Even when he's like cooking, you're like, bro, he is ready.
He's him. I want to eat that food right now. Because that food looks so good.
Is bro, they just shoot him in such an amazing light. Even when he's doing bad things, you're like, bro, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
He's so cool,
and
bro.
He goes, and those guys try to beat him up, and then he was gonna just let them until they pull the gun. He was like, well, okay, and then he gives him ham.
I love that scene because the whole time, like, he's sticking to his bit, right? He's letting them beat the crap out of him, and then they're like, let's kill him. He's like, he's a cop, and the other cop is like, okay, I'll do it. And then there, Matt goes like, you guys don't want to do this, and there's just a little smile on his face because deep down, in my opinion, Matt wanted them to do that the entire time. I think Matt was looking for an excuse.
See,
I really do.
I don't, just because of the fact afterward. Like, I think he desires it. He desires to fight, but I don't think in that sense he wanted to there. Because yes, he has deep down desire. He wants to be Daredevil. That's him. That's his personality. That's who he is. But at the end, he's screaming because of what he did. He's so angry because he did that. Yeah. And he know, like, deep down, I agree. Like, deep down, that's him. That's who he is he's Daredevil before he's Matt Murdock even. But the fact that he did that at the end, and then after he literally ended these guys, he's frustrated because he realized what he had done.
See, I think I would slightly disagree. I think he's still holding on to Foggy. And I think the fact that he hasn't kind of let it out yet or saw a therapist since Foggy, I think all those feelings are still in there, and he's just been waiting to pour it out. So I think I do think that was in almost a sense, especially like the Netflix series explores, like it's almost like therapeutic for him. Like his darker side wants that. It wants that conflict. He wants to beat the snot out of people.
Right. He does, but at the same time, he regretted it after he did it because he saw what that could implement and how that could mess up.
I mean, obviously they're cops.
Yeah.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know why he screamed. Maybe it was that. I just kind of read it as like. I read it as grief leaving his body from the Foggy.
I read it as frustration for what he had done because he has worked so hard to keep that part of his life.
Yes, gone.
Separate.
But like I said, just with the parallels of Fisk, we know that that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Both are going to be returning. So pretty soon. Man, I think that writing is absolutely brilliant. I've been very impressed by the dialogue and the writing of the show so far.
Yep.
And
and the whole interactions between Hector and Matt is also really cool.
Yes,
Matt understands him more than Hector knows.
He knows,
And Hector the whole time is, and then he tells him, he's like, I know you're White Tiger, and he's like, why didn't you tell me, and all this stuff. And the fact that he's holding on to that, but he knows exactly how he feels, how exactly, and Hector doesn't know it, which is so cool, and that's explored even more so in episode 3, the hollow of his hand. Which we'll talk about.
Yeah, I just watched this episode. As soon as I got home.
This episode was good.
This episode, man, I kind of knew what was gonna happen, and it still hurt anyway.
See, I didn't think they'd do it so early.
That's the thing, bro.
That's the thing.
How did this episode start? I can't really recall.
So the episodes began in the courtroom. The courtroom where they were talking. The trial was on completely, and there was lots of elements. They have the court. Well, no, it begins in the bathroom because they confront each other, right? They confront each other, bathroom, the police officer and the lawyer.
Dude, Matt is so cool, bro.
Yeah.
Powell just comes in and he's like, he's like, I heard about your eye later in court, bro. Just Matt is just in that bathroom, bro. See, and that's why I think that it was grief and not regret, because later in that bathroom when it's just him, he's taunting him about it.
Oh yeah, he's definitely taunting.
So I'm saying that I really don't think he regrets beating them in that sense. I think he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then he starts playing to it both in the bathroom and in court.
Yeah.
He's like, I heard you had a black eye. I hope you're okay.
Yeah, like he just absolutely just laying into him. That was great. But still, like in the bathroom, he's saying like, if you do this, if you reveal what happened, the worst thing that happened to me is I get kicked off the trial. Worst thing happened to you, you go to prison. So
Facts.
Choose your side. And
Plus,
he couldn't do anything.
You know, he all but says he's Daredevil. He's a blind guy who's like just beats up 2 cops with the gun. So if I was them, I would be drawing conclusions at some point.
I would absolutely too.
At the very least, you're not blind and you're a master karate.
You are a good
something
liar.
like that. Yeah, you're master splinter or something.
yeah.
But yeah, man.
It was really neat. And we forgot to talk about the reporter girl in episode 2 that was introduced. And then they're going to call it back at the end of episode 3.
She's really cool. What's her name?
I forget her name.
Forget her name. You see, what's his name? The guy working for Fist. Is it like Charlie?
Yeah, the
Charlie
one
Baker.
dude that really loves him.
You know, he's James Gandolfini's son, Tony Soprano. That's his son.
Really?
Yeah. So I think this is like his second acting gig ever. But I really like him. Yeah, he pulls a couple strings and he gets it there in them. So it's cool to see Fisk kind of rely on her and lean on her because, you know, he likes her objective kind of coverage of what's going on. He respects her. He knows that there's no like bull crap. She's on the streets doing her job. So he constantly trusts her to report those stories.
Yeah. And then also in episode 3, we see the interactions between Fisk and Vanessa and talking about what's going on. You know,
Adam.
Vanessa is playing into her guys, paying off guys, doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're starting to get angry because of the situation. Like, why isn't Kingpin doing this stuff himself and all of this and questioning and frustrated? So that, like, you can tell that there's not only is Matt Murdock dealing with the different stuff in the courtroom, but there's going to be lots of conflict arise later between Fisk and his own men.
Yeah.
Fisk's going to have that problem as well. So it's going to be interesting to see and explore how when it does blow up, how's it going to turn out? Because it's probably going to be like an episode 5 event, because it's always episode 5. I don't know why, but it's always episode 5.
5 is a magic number.
5 is the magic number. They always do some crazy stuff in episode 5.
Because, you know, as I explained, you know, like after Fisk got the tar beat out of him at the end of season 3, you know, Vanessa takes over the business, right? And they say like she grows it like crazy, like hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, she has all these smaller criminal organizations working under her. And while Fisk is out, she's running this entire thing extraordinarily well just by herself.
Yep.
And in that, she starts an affair, because we're married at this point. She starts an affair with this dude named Adam. We don't know who he is. All we have is his name. But she starts this affair with one of his like men that are under him. And then obviously that, you know, that causes a bunch of problems in their relationship. So then they start going to therapy with the girl that Matt is dating. Bro, those therapy scenes kill me.
They're
very
funny.
realistic, but like I can't help but like laugh sometimes.
Yeah,
But she's like, just the way, bro, she talks about her affair, bro. Like she's a hoe. She's like, you know, like I had a professional relationship that was very robust and fulfilling, you know, while my husband was. I'm like, bro, just say you cheated on Fisk. Like it's not that hard.
And that dude is going to die.
Bro, he's like, I promise I won't kill him. But then again, he doesn't break his promises to her. So
True.
I really don't think. I don't know. My opinion is he'll get someone else to kill him. But
He'll have somebody who won't do it himself.
I thought he was gonna do that same episode.
Yeah.
My only question is, I do wonder why they haven't shown him yet. I think maybe Adam could be a bigger character. Maybe not. Maybe he's just a nobody and we'll never see him. Maybe it doesn't matter at all. Maybe he's a bigger character.
Maybe she lied about him and he doesn't actually exist. That's also.
And she just doesn't love him anymore. Oh, maybe she's using that because maybe that makes sense. Maybe in his time away, after season 3, she realized that I can run this business by myself. I'm independent and I don't need your help anymore.
She found love in a hopeless place. You know.
Dude, that song is so good. I love that song.
That's a great song.
I remember the summer it came out, man. I would just have that thing on the radio. It's a good song.
Yeah, it's great. All right, anyway, but yeah, I mean, maybe she did make this up as a facade to kind of show that she's not in love with him anymore, and she actually enjoys running his business.
And every scene they're together, dude, they're sitting so far apart.
Yeah, no, but I still feel like he loves her.
He loves her, of course.
He absolutely loves her.
Dude, he adores her, and he would do anything for her.
Vanessa, yeah.
He snaps so many times in the Netflix show whenever like something bad happens to her or someone threatens her, bro. He like that's the one thing that makes him go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I suspect the same will happen, even if she doesn't love him back in this.
Right.
So.
I could definitely see that. So we see as we follow the rest of the episode, the situation arising between him trying to protect Hector and doing the stuff. First off the bat, they do this portal to try to get Nick Torres or whatever his name is to get in there. Nicky Torres to try to get in there to admit that he was there. He witnessed the event. He didn't do anything wrong.
Shout out Cherry for getting him there.
Yeah, that was really cool.
He's one of my favorite parts in the show so far.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Of a former, what was he, like a captain with them? But now he retired, and now he's doing some like low-key illegal stuff for Matt while working for him as a private investigator.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
He gets Nikki there, and then Powell pulls him over. You're like, ah. But he's like, you know what?
Yeah, they tricked him.
By the way, I wasn't there.
He wasn't.
You're like,
there.
come on, dude.
Yeah,
you know he's scared for his life.
Dude, yeah.
But man, that hurt.
And then and that just the fact that he lied under oath. Matt was so mad. He was like, reminder, because he could tell he was getting ready to lie.
I'm telling you, he starts snapping. You see that dark side of Matt start coming out.
Yep. And it's that whole thing, and then they can't do anything about it. So that puts Matt's hands in a bind where he has to pull out his ace, and that being to tell everybody out of the blue that he's White Tiger.
Whereas like last episode, they met with the judge. He's like, I have this information. We cannot let it get out because it would unfairly influence the jury. And the judge is like, this is weird, but okay. And then Matt in this episode is like, he's White Tiger without even telling.
And they're like, what the heck?
Without even telling Hector.
He's like, get in my room now.
He's like, bro, what do you do? And he's like, I didn't mean to do it. He's like, my hand got forced after my witness lied.
Yep.
You're like, you know what?
And it's true. It's true. And that's
true.
the only thing I didn't like about it is because Hector was right. That wasn't his secret to tell.
That's true.
And it does kind of stink for Hector because he works so hard to be White Tiger and he fights so hard for these people. And when Matt reveals it, I mean, it's also parallel because he knows exactly how he feels, and
he doesn't want him to be a vigilante,
right?
Because he sees the good that he's been doing,
right? He says that there's better life. He said, "Do it for your family," because he saw what all Daredevil did for him, and it wasn't really much positive when it comes down to it. And he's saying that, and he's just saying you can't be White Tiger again. And he said, but White Tiger's who I am. And that also
that
really
was
hit.
my favorite scene of that third episode, right? Yeah, before that courtroom, they're sitting down in that jail together, and it's that conflict of their ideals. Like we were just saying, like, you know, like White Tiger's like, it's not something like that happens when you put on your suit. He's like, I am like White Tiger. It's the right thing to do. I will help these people. And then Matt's like, you can help him in other ways, you know, and all this stuff. So Matt's trying to tell him, like, you don't have to be a vigilante. You can help in this way. But he's like...
And that's exactly what Matt's trying to tell himself.
That's exactly what he's trying to help. You know, the guy, he doesn't know it, but he's preaching to Daredevil, who's struggling with the same thing that that he is. So, oh man, that conversation was so good.
It's so good because it was literally Matt essentially trying to justify what he was doing.
Exactly.
And saying, like, you don't need to be it anymore.
Exactly. Because he's talking to himself.
Yep.
You know, he's talking like you don't you don't have to be a vigilante anymore.
So cool.
Which, like you said, it's not his call to make, but he makes it anyway. But it sucks too because because he does that, like he tells Hector that like you can't be White Tiger again if you get acquitted. You know, because I've done this, which is I don't know. And then obviously it puts his family at risk because now they know who White Tiger's wife is.
But then again, when it comes to Marvel, most Marvel heroes don't have a secret identity besides Spider-Man and Daredevil and some of those. Most like Iron Man, they know. Captain America, you know who that is. Thor is. Bruce Banner.
But they have a lot more protection than like a street hero, like trying to take down some like.
True, they have a lot more protection. They have a lot more money, and they have a lot more ability
protection. Than like because
nobody's gonna be walking up on Bruce Banner and be like, hey.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because it's not gonna happen. No. Or like Cap. There's always gonna be people around, but nah, man, just that exchange of ideals was really, really cool. It was, and then obviously he unmasked that literally in court, and then
the testimony part was really cool. I really like that, talking about all the different people, and it showed the different people and how they had helped, and like on the courtroom, and you could just see like White Tiger he was so humble about it. He's just sitting there like, that's what he was called to do. Yeah. And hearing all these testimonies, then you'd hear the police officers' testimonies about
the police officer testimonies,
who are all against him. and it was just such a cool scene. And they mentioned Officer Morales. We know that it's Davis in the comics and in the other media, but I still feel like it is an Easter egg, just
You
because.
think so?
I mean, Morales. I mean, you're not going to just name drop
I know,
Officer
but
Morales.
his name is Davis.
Still, you're not going to just name drop Officer Morales.
Morales is
and then
his
not,
wife. If they
True.
knew the comics, they wouldn't be saying Morales. I feel like that's just my opinion.
But I don't know why would they say Morales as a name anyway. Because that's going to be so closely.
I think it's just. I think it's just a coincidence. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
But he
with
changes
the
his name to Morales later in the comics as well, in other iterations. He's Officer Morales. So we don't know, and this is a different Earth. So, and we've already had Aaron Davis in the MCU's already been in, but where's Donald Glover in Spider-Man Homecoming,
which we'll never see again.
Which we'll probably never see again. But we don't know that, though, unless they do an MCU movie and he's in it. We don't know that for sure, because we did see him again in Across the Spider-Verse, though.
We did.
Anyhow. But I do feel like that's a slight Easter egg. Just because you say Officer Morales, it may not be the same person, but the fact that it's still an Easter egg for an Officer Davis is out there and then a Morales is out there, and it's, I don't know. I feel like it's a correlation.
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah.
But they could have just said Davis. But then again, I mean, it's a more common
Davis is a
name.
more common name.
That's what I'm saying. So I think they're just throwing it in there maybe for sparks. I don't know if they're going
just
to
to
go
be like,
anywhere
ooh.
with it. No, really.
We don't know.
I think that might be the case.
Anyhow, and then after that, they have their closing remarks. Matt gives his, which is really, really good, talking about, the person. But then the prosecutors was also really good.
He's like, I'm not a good person, but I go to church. He's like, a good person can do bad things.
Yep.
So he just harping on, just because all this good stuff doesn't mean he couldn't have committed this
He had
crime.
a good point.
He did, bro.
He had a great point.
Just because someone,
and then he just pulls out the stop. He's like, the train broke all his bones, and then his body gets exploded, but he doesn't die until the train backs up, and they're like, "Whoa!"
Until his body explodes. You're like, dude, what?
Dude, he's pulling out all the stops. But
Tobey Maguire was just built different, I guess.
That's so true. Anyway, he was him. Anyhow, then the jury comes to a verdict, and he's not guilty.
I thought he was going to be guilty.
I 100% thought he was going to be
guilty.
My
prediction, and I was talking to Lauren about this, but I was like, I think he's going to be guilty, and then Matt's going to be so mad that he's going to break him out as Daredevil, was my theory at the time.
And it did not end up occurring. See, I thought it would be guilty, and I thought there would still be like more of a situation or something would happen else, but it ended up calling him guilty or not guilty on all accounts, which was awesome.
Yes,
and then we get devastated.
Bro, I was shook by this part. But
the ending.
When it was not guilty, I'm like, the whole time in the back of my head, I was like, you knew something bad was
especially
coming.
Because you had Kingpin talking about it in the background about how vigilantes are a nuisance. They shouldn't.
He's proven his point.
The court system has failed, and then Matt said the court system has succeeded when they opened the bottle. Call back to Foggy.
I know, man.
And talking and discussing about it, but at the end of the day, he's putting on the White Tiger mask. He's going to go back out in the streets,
which he should have been doing in the first place.
Yeah,
because Matt literally said you can't go back out there.
No,
but it just goes to show but Hector was low-key the best person in the entire show so far.
Yeah, he's
he was a true hero.
Only good. Yeah, he's a true
hero.
True hero, and then just to walk up and get shot in the head.
In the head, bro. I was like, at my first thought was Bullseye. I was like, he's out somehow. I don't know. I'm like, it's someone that Fisk hired.
Yeah,
but it wasn't that either.
It wasn't that.
It was apparently we're led to believe it was the Punisher,
but it's not Frank Castle.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It can't be.
It's not Frank Castle.
It can't be.
It was somebody dressed as him, thinking that he's following the Punisher's ideas and doing all this stuff. And that's why all these Punisher tattoos, these people are following this ideology that's not true.
But what if it was a Punisher?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. But at the same time, say hypothetically it was, I think it would fit with that thing. Like say these corrupt cops, they idolize him, right? So say Punisher has always had a good amount of respect, right, for the cops,
right?
So in Punisher's eyes, Hector is guilty. The worst of the worst. And as we know, he decides who lives or dies. Yeah. It's up to nobody else but Punisher. I can see a world in which the actual Punisher would do that.
But I don't think it is him. Because most articles I've seen when I was reading about it have said that this is somebody impersonating. They say that's a fact. Yeah. They don't say it as we think. They say it's by impersonating the Punisher.
That's a callback because in season 3 of Daredevil, Bullseye impersonates Daredevil. So I was like, my third thought was like, dude, maybe it's Bullseye as Punisher. I don't know. Who would
he escaped?
My question, maybe it's a former cop, maybe it's a current cop, maybe it is a current Punisher. Like I said, hypothetically, if it was a current Punisher, I feel like it would make sense. They idolize him, and he's trying to get back at a vigilante who killed someone who was a great law-abiding citizen. But I mean, I don't think it's that likely. But I'm excited because obviously I'm very excited.
We're gonna see him next episode,
show, bro. I am so excited.
It's super exciting, and it's gonna be really cool because they're gonna say something. He's gonna have to go talk to him or something, and then it's gonna be a whole cool event. But unfortunately, he is killed. The White Tiger is killed, and we know that it's probably gonna be Dawn. It's probably gonna be his niece or something, Ava. That's gonna take the mantle soon enough. I don't know, in the show or a different show or a different light.
Because she's pretty young, ain't she? In this show,
as far as I know, I think she.
I feel like White Tiger, like it was that Spider-Man, like Ultimate Spider-Man. She's like what, 16, 17, 18, something like that. Yeah, so maybe another.
There was lots of theories that saying Jenna Ortega could be a good White Tiger Ava, which I could see, but.
They might not be able to afford her.
That's what I was thinking. I don't think they'd be able to afford her either.
They have no budget for VFX.
So how can they afford Jenna Ortega?
Episode,
Anyhow, but anyway, so far so good. This Daredevil Born Again has definitely been a Born Again rendition. It's not been like watered down Disney. It's been a continuation.
No, man, I've been very happy. I've been very impressed by the quality of the show. I believe that's gonna continue on. I'm excited to see more and more Evil Fists come out. I'm excited to see Daredevil come back to play. I love the corrupt cops situation, man. I love seeing Matt in the courtroom.
Yeah,
I like his new partner Kirsten.
Yeah,
I hope that we get to see Foggy carrying again really badly. But man,
we'll see. We'll see. We know we're gonna get to see old John Bernthal back, but
I know I really couldn't have asked for. Like a better start, Yeah,
like, we said that the rest is just crap.
Watching, bro, the next episodes are just absolute trash.
It has Power Rangers riding on bikes and to chase Boba Fett.
They cast Melissa McCarthy as
Melissa McCarthy.
Punisher. You're like, bro, what is going on here, man?
Oh my goodness! They have the Bluetooth speaker being pulled out and just nodding their heads to it in the middle of the scene. How funny would that be? How funny would that be? Anyhow, great start. We're super excited for what's to come in the parallels that are going to continue with Fisk and Murdoch, and we just hope to see Matt don the suit once again before too long. But we'll see.
Yes, sir. And be sure to stay tuned weekly, obviously, for our breakdowns.
Stay tuned.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode. And as always, if you enjoyed it, please let us know by giving us a download and a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. If you guys want early access to our episodes and exclusive access to additional movie reviews and things of that nature, feel free to subscribe to our membership, Heroes HQ. We have a new feature on our episodes where you can send us a text message by following the link at the bottom of our episodes. You can submit your questions for Heroes Q&A there, or just shoot us a DM on Instagram. And then finally, feel free to also check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram at Heroes in the Moment.
And we want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.